Hey everybody, how you doing on this, for most of the country, African swelter day? Woo boy, it's hot. Uh, the other night and roughly 2 nights before that, I wrote a couple of emails to a collection I will loosely refer to as the Howard Terminal Community Group, even though it doesn't represent the entire student body of that organization, if you will. It basically brings together some concerns that I've expressed in many different ways over the year and over the years regarding how Harvard Terminal has been done, implemented, and my issues with that process. What I'm about to read to you is I'm sorry because it is quite warm, is too long to fit into the standard YouTube character area. It's about 5,400 characters. The limit here is 5,000 characters. So what I'm going to do is put the text in the body of the post at oaklandnewsnowblog.com and oaklandnewsonline.com. And you can read the text you can read the text that I'm about to read to you so you can hear it. Greetings. Thank you for having me on this thread. Mercedes, referring to Mercedes Rodriguez, who is the leader of the group, and one of the unofficial mayors of West Oakland. I'm sad to learn of your injury. She was in an auto accident, and I pray for your speedy recovery. I'm very concerned that there's too much focus on having a, quote, public vote, unquote, on a project that readers here really know very little about. Because the mayor herself and ACE President Dave Cavell elected to use staffers and consultants who were and are not completely familiar with EIDL, Enhanced Industrial Development legislation, and tax increment financing. The delay in implementation has created a kind of anti-Howard Terminal view. This happens when the minders of the project or any project do not know how to explain it in simple terms. This has caused a ton of errors of information. And among those errors of information, I want to explain that, it's Enhanced Infrastructure Financing District legislation, not EIDL. That's a mistake. It's Enhanced Infrastructure Financing District, EIFD. I put EIDL in the text. That's wrong. It's Enhanced Infrastructure Financing District legislation. For example, first, the city of Oakland will pay for a Howard Terminal bond issue. A simple read of SB 293 Skinner or any version of California Enhanced Infrastructure Financing District law tells you that the Public Financing Authority is supposed to be established and it has responsibility for tax revenue collection and bond issuance, and not the city of Oakland, not even as a backstop. There are many ways to form bond issues where the city or the county of Alameda does not have a backstop role. Just because we did not do that in the past, like with the Raiders deal, for example, is no reason to demand we repeat the mistake. Yet, people make assumptions rather than reading documents. That includes the elected officials copied here. Second, that Howard Terminal's development is, quote, just a baseball stadium, unquote. Well, no. It's a large-scale event center designed for baseball, but can be used for many other events, from weddings to concerts or car shows. From a meetings perspective, it would dramatically boost Oakland's convention facilities inventory. The city should be focused on making sure the ballpark has well-sized ballrooms for this purpose. But the city of Oakland has been sleeping at the wheel here. Time to wake up. Third, there is an idea that Howard Terminal's development can't pay for East Oakland development. Many seem to think that and show they do not know what California EIFD law says or SB 293 Skinner. To put it simply, tax increment financing revenue that is collected by the Public Financing Authority can be used for, quote, projects of community-wide significance, unquote, as selected by the Public Financing Authority and expressed in the Infrastructure Financing Plan. We don't have either the Public Financing Authority or the Infrastructure Financing Plan done. That would also add another year of work on what needs to be done. We should have done this starting in late 2019 and, quote, and right after Gavin Newsom, California governor, signed SB 293 Skinner into law, but the city of Oakland did nothing. Nothing. You can have East Oakland projects and social services paid for via Howard Terminal's tax increment financing revenue. Plus, the tax increment financing revenue is that large, if you know how to do the calculations. That gets me to my next point. All of you seem to have an issue with money and numbers, doing the math. You're way too concerned with what you see as environmental issues, but pay zero attention to financing. You have to stop that. ASAP. Without understanding money, this whole deal falls apart. And that's what's happening. So let's do the TIF correctly. It's not based on the size of the area, but the assessed value within it. That frames what's built now and then in the future. So it also frames why the ballpark must be privately owned to get the property tax payment from the A's to drive TIF revenue. Thus, no tax abatement here. The A's would be killing their own project to avoid paying a 1% property tax. So let's stop that talk. The payment for just $2 billion in base year assessed value would drive 45 years of tax increment financing revenue growth at an estimated 4% per year, less than the actual average of 6% for the Jack London Square area, and contains the automatic 2% increase allowed by California law. That produces $1.6 billion in revenue, of which $800 million is bondable. Given the A's $350 million for infrastructure, and then we have $450 million left for community-wide projects and affordable housing. Part of the $450 million could be used for East Oakland projects, as put in the Infrastructure Financing Plan. That includes money to help businesses harmed by COVID, Head Start programs, elderly transit programs, and so on. And on the matter of affordable housing, you use a subsidy to pay for the gap in financing that appears when you reduce rents in a housing spreadsheet. You don't make the A's pay for a housing complex that will not pencil out. The idea is to make a market rate complex that drives a high rent more affordable via the construction subsidy. For some reason, the folks here never got that memo in the drive to, quote, soak the rich, unquote. That helps no one. So I have laid out how the project should be done. You will get all that you seek if you just follow the law and learn the law. Read. Stop making assumptions about the matter. A public vote will lead to a no vote because you all do not understand this process of development using enhanced infrastructure financing district law. So do not do it. Force yourself to deal with financial details. Read SB 293 Skinner, SB 628 Beal, and AB 464 Mullen. Best regards, Zennie Abraham. That's the first one that I issued. The second one that I issued is this one. And it goes like this. It says, because Mercedes left some very kind words for me, and so I responded in this way. Hi, Mercedes. Thank you for the kind words, and I also have to apologize for my rather harsh tone. It comes from frustration formed watching Oakland decline from the city that knew how to build affordable housing and the Warriors Arena a successful use of public funds that formed the platform for Oakland's rise as an NBA champion city, bringing $100 million in free worldwide marketing every time the Warriors were in the NBA Finals, to where we are today. A growing homeless population, a horrible crime problem, and a national stage almost completely destroyed by the departure of our sports teams. Simply put, we're not the can-do city I was proud to work for out of Berkeley Planning School in 1987. Heck, I got to know Paul Cobb when he was the executive director of the Oakland Citizens Committee for Urban Renewal, OCUR, and a key player in my paper about Oakland's development while I was at Cal. That was 1986. I have lived Oakland's economic development process, politics, and history going back to 1979 when I was a Skyline High School student, class of 80, and entered the contest to come up with a design for City Hall Plaza. U.A. Lee, architect, would later admit he took my zigzag step design and used it for what exists today, and he designed. We have always had disagreements about economic development in Oakland. We have also had redevelopment to fuel many of our projects and keep Oakland affordable, not to mention help pay for many city positions. We've lost control and let the market overtake our government's ability to manage it. My frustration is born of our collective inability to regain control. We have to work together to do it. I'm the one who brought the idea of using tax increment financing to Dave Cavall on the 4th of April of 2014 at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. We had just met, and I said April 4th, 2014. It was actually April 4th of 2017, in the afternoon. We had just met when he was introduced as A's president. I asserted he could use TIF. Dave swore it was not available. I told him about SB 628 Beal and said that he would need to build affordable housing to even have a chance of getting a ballpark approved. I also sent a copy of the 2010 Jack London Square study by Gruen & Gruen that contained TIF estimates for a ballpark at various locations, including Jack London Square. I did this information sharing not to gain anything, but to help him do this project in a way that served the community. So Dave took that information and used it to form the SB 293 Skinner bill with State Senator Nancy Skinner and Mayor Schaaf. We seem to be on the right track, but lack of proper staffing and direction took us off of it. Later, Dave announced, to my horror, that there was going to be $12 billion in development at Howard Terminal. Why, to my horror? Because Dave failed to explain what the tax increment financing revenue production from that would be and inform the community leaders. Folks, the number is $9 billion. Again, it's $9 billion. Just to do the math, or use my spreadsheet if you have doubts and want to try it yourself. But the bottom line is the A's and the city of Oakland let that $12 billion number fly out there, but have failed to explain what the tax increment financing revenue would be. That has to be corrected. We also need to establish a public financing authority to formalize the process. Right now, we have no public documenting of what was done when and by whom. By contrast, the Las Vegas Stadium Authority has detailed meeting documents and dates when plans were approved, updates given, and so on. We did the same thing when the Coliseum Joint Powers Authority took on the Warriors Arena project. The City of Oakland website has the last Howard Terminal update as dated February 25th, 2022. Today is June 16th, 2022. This is completely disorganized and outrageous. It's not what we're capable of doing. In order to get the kind of equitable economic development we want, we have to take detailed, processed, planned, deliberate, small, itemized steps. But the good news is we can get to that better approach by the Oakland City Council and city staff forming the Public Financing Authority and writing the infrastructure financing plan as soon as possible. God bless everyone. Regards, Zennie. So there's what I put out there. And I think I have to hit a reply all and add some corrections and say, thank you all for the response. A couple of notes of correction of myself. First, it's not EIDL, but Enhanced or Industrial Financing District, or Enhanced Infrastructure Structure. Hold on a second. Infrastructure Financing District. Excuse me. Legislation. Second, I met with Dave Cavell via phone on April 4th, 2017, not 2014. As a note, EIDL refers to a pandemic government loan program I participated in, I used, and am involved in as a plaintiff in a class action lawsuit. Thanks, Zennie. There, that's it. Okay, so that clears that up. And now I'm sending it. Phew, it's warm. Okay, folks, that's the message, and I'm going to again put the text in OaklandNewsNowBlog.com and OaklandNewsOnline.com. As soon as I finish it, it's uploaded and it's distributed into the blogs of the Zennie 62 Media Network. Subscribe to Zennie 62 on YouTube, bookmark OaklandNewsNow.com, and join us later to watch Game 6 of the NBA Finals, to which I have my t-shirt, Strength in Numbers, and I say, Go Warriors, and I say this, Oakland needs an NBA team.